Hi there, Alex. Thanks for joining us. This morning for me, we're looking at a Gothic Revival church interior in Sydney, St Mary's Cathedral, the major Roman Catholic church of the city. So I'll flick the screen and we'll put the camera face down and we'll start looking at what we're going to draw and ask the sorts of questions, make the sorts of observations that I usually make before I start a drawing, and do some of the exploratory marks that I normally make. So let's get going. Hi there, Amy. Here we go. Just excuse this while I get organised. Okay, this is our scene. So the first thing I do is I play around with some marks. If you saw my video on the palm trees, they're the marks I made for the palm trees. If you saw my video on the staircase in front of Schönbrunn Palace in Vienna, these were the marks I made for that. Exactly what marks I make depend on what I'm trying to draw and how I think it's going to work. So for this, I'm partly wanting to get a sense of the size pen. Is it an appropriate size pen? I'm thinking I'm going to use a 0.3 for this area here, closer area, and then a 0.2 for behind, and possibly even a 0.1 for right further back, just to get a sense of depth. There's quite a significant depth of plane in this. Well done, Laurie. And this here, I might even do in a 0.5. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to remove the lens distortion. So when I was standing here looking at this part of the cathedral interior, these lines were all vertical. They weren't pulled in. And sometimes I like to do that. I just take them out. So how do we do that? How do we remove this lens distortion? And obviously we need to tilt everything out, but where do we tilt it from? And I think the important thing to remember is that the accurate place, where is the true width between these distances? Is it up here or down here? Is it up here? Is it down here? It's actually, if you think about it, at eye level. Eye level is the place where we get the true width between things. And so I'm standing here taking this, eye levels. There's no one actually in the scene that we can see. I think, is that a person or a statue? It's a bit hard to tell with my eyes at the moment. But I would say that eye level is about here. So this is about the actually no, eye level might be there, because this would be about waist height, which will put eye level about here. Yep. So this is actually the width that we want. We need to narrow it slightly down the bottom, and we need to widen it up the top. Okay. And can I just ask, if you're enjoying this so far and think it's going to be helpful, please remember the like button. Okay. So that just gets that settled in my head. And now what I do is I'm getting a sense of how I'm going to draw my marks. Now for me, naturally, it's actually easier to be more accurate on the horizontal this way. But unfortunately, because of the lights and the camera, I can't turn my paper. This is not such an accurate way for me to do. I'm just wondering if I move that light, because there are quite a lot of vertical lines in this one. If I move my light, yep, I might do that. So I'm really just playing. There's nothing here I particularly feel the need to practice. Um, yeah, look, I think I'll start at this point. Now, I'll just. Okay, so I've got plenty of paper here. Oh, I haven't turned the room light on. Okay. So how is everyone? What city is my home country? What city in your home country do I like best for sketching? Well, look, the only city I've been in since I've started drawing, since that trip to Europe in 2018, is Sydney. So I haven't actually drawn in any other cities, and because of lockdowns and some other issues, I don't actually live in the city. I live on the just outside of the city. So I haven't been in that much for various reasons, but certainly there are lots of nice buildings in Sydney to draw. Okay, so let me start. So we go a bit slower at the start. And suddenly I'm quiet. Now I've got this here. So I want to have a sense of this angle. Because I need to know where to stop my columns. And so I've got 1, 2 of these. Maybe that's just a little bit too thick. 2, so I can, and then because these are not equal, they do, it's not very good, they do thin as they come round the corner, and more so on this side. Okay, that will do. And then we'll take this center one straight up. Where's the top going to be? Okay. Ooh, what do we do next? That seems easy. Now, these angles stay the same. Actually, they probably, yeah, no, I'll do them the same. Now, what width are we wanting to get there? So if I'm coming down to eye level, which is about here, that's the width I'm sort of wanting from there to there. And it's coming down to there. I almost slanted it for a minute. And now we've got this stairway here. So how do I sort of estimate that? So that comes up a bit here. In fact, what I might do is I might actually put these pews in now so that I know what I'm doing there. The order in which we draw things can be important. And I probably need my finishing point down here too. Okay. dear. I didn't put the slope on these. So, never mind. I'll just have to do the best I can now. Okay, so now I think that's actually going to be too wide. Gone way too wide here. I think this was a better bet. And that's good because we can hide the mistake in the width here. Okay, so we've got here, we've got that, and then that. So they're at the same level. I better put this line in. Now what do we have? We have some sort of long speaker there. And now we have 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, so now I think I'll get this arch in place. And again, I like to kind of like come down and just don't be afraid to draw lines on your references unless they belong to someone else. And to notice just how far along this center point is. It's way to the left of center with foreshortening. So it's actually there, between there and there. Well, that doesn't look right, does it? So, what can I do? Yeah, I see what I did wrong. So, what are my options to make it look a bit better? I can't change that line, but I can bring another line in to actually, it'll shift the arch crown over, which I don't want, but it compromises the mistake. It also compromises how the arch is going to look. But that's what I mean when I talk about when we make a mistake, sometimes what we have to do is work out, can we mitigate it at the expense of accuracy with another part of our drawing? And what I'm trusting is that at the end, it's not going to be so different. Now, it is going to look different too slightly because we're not doing the inward slope, remember. And I think I'll get the rest of this in. And we still have this line at this angle here. So we have a bit of a framework now with what we're doing. And we might as well do this arch as well. I've not long been out of bed and I certainly feel it this morning, I tell you. Okay, let's position this line here. So again, one of the things I've been meaning to do with drawing, unfortunately, most of the times when I end up in the city, and it is a little bit of an effort to get there, it ends up being a family outing of some sort where we're all meeting up, and so there's just usually not really time for me to sit down somewhere and draw. We usually have something we're doing somewhere where we're trying to get to. Now with interior architectural detailing here, we're just wanting to create the effect of it. We're not wanting to get too bogged down with having to do too much detail. With the exactness of it at all. Okay. So I'm wanting that distance there. Ew. this is what happens. I'm quite good in the upper half of these lines, but when I come down, I sort of, this is why I'm really better off drawing them this way. Oh, look, honestly, I'm going nowhere with my lines today. Partly because I don't have my normal chair and I can't move it around on the floor. It's catching on the carpet that's under me, which is... Anyway, enough of my woes. And so we'll add some of these lines just to help give a sense of the stonework. Okay. I think at this point I'm going to switch pens because we're going to do some of the bits further back. I'll just actually put a hint of these windows in, I think, first. All right, now I'll switch pens before I forget. So I'm going from a 0.3 to a 0.2, and I'm going to do these sections in here, I think, with this. So I'll start with this one, and it just drops down to about there. Now, where is it positioned? It's actually about halfway at eye level, so I want the center of it to be there. The top of it will be about here. So let's start with that. So and this is where I run into a little bit of inaccuracy because the arch isn't the right shape. But again, this is where we now make our drawing look as accurate as we can, even if it means deviating somewhat from our reference. And here we have a screen that comes into this column. How are we going? Right. We might work on this section first just to get a sense of how it's going. So let me see about there. So this lines up pretty much with there. I'm still not sure whether that's a person or a statue. Now we're going further back here. I'm just wondering whether to switch pens, but it is a lot closer still than over here, where I think I am going to use the 0.2, so the 0.1. So I'll stick with the 0.2 here. I don't think I'll draw the cleaning cart that we have here. And now in this little side chapel, I need to give some indication of this altar that's here. Sorry, I'm not talking much at the moment, am I? I'm concentrating. So I just want to give the effect of the lace work and the shadows here. Okay, we just want to give a sense that there's something ornate happening up this end of the chapel. And there's another speaker here. So let's throw that in. Now over here. All right, how's that going? And I think over here we'll do this in the 0.2 as well. So this is just a bit above here. We have some more chairs there. There, how's that looking? So this is part of that far wall. Okay, yep, I think we'll put down the 0.2 now and we'll go to the 0.1. And so now I think the main thing is to get this angle going down through, work out where we want it to start. I'm just looking at these shapes and yeah, they're going to be happening happily enough. If I take this just a little bit higher. I've just got my pen right on its side, which gives a much finer line, which just helps me to see what's happening. All right. So this line lines up with that there. About there maybe. No, like I'm changing my mind. I'm going to switch back to the 0.2 for this, and then I'll do the 1 for what goes behind. I think this line's looking just a little bit too thin, a little bit too quickly. Now again, this angle will be about there. Okay, we're moving down the church. So it's also what we need to make sure we do is that we keep the little windows we get between things need to align with each other, as well as fit the space that they're also meant to be in, and that's just a point where we need to pay attention. And we have all these fan-shaped perspective angles still happening, and it's important that we keep in our head the pattern in our head that's happening. Now, I'm slightly simplifying things that are happening in here because I really can't tell what they are anyway. So now, what angle do I want in here? If possible, I want a glimpse there. And that looks okay. And now I have this about here. And that looks okay. Really does make you want to catch a train into the city and go and sit in one of the two cathedrals we have in Sydney and have a go just doing this, looking up at what's around me. And now, continuing. Oh, right, okay. So, okay, and we have a window that actually opens onto the outside of the building here. So we have sunlight coming through rather than shadows. And what have we got? We've got a center and we've got two sides. Okay, so I think now we're ready for the further back areas in here. So I'll put away the 2. I'll pick up my 3 and just pop a pew in the front here. Where's my 1? Here we are, 0.1 millimeters. If you've joined us and you haven't hit the like button and you'd like to, then please remember to do it. It does help me. It does help me with the algorithm. So, what's happening here? See, and I often talk about with a drawing, the tempo picks up, and this is what we see happening now. It's much easier to be drawing this and faster because I've got more established, and as long as it's accurate enough that I'm able to draw something credible for what I'm actually copying, then that's okay. I've got 3 here. Now with my black line that I drew down here, I've actually obscured the detail and I can't really see what I'm meant to be doing in here. So and then what do we have right down here? I'll make that a statue. There's some sort of glass up there. Have I covered all the gaps? I think I have. I think that's pretty much it. So look, you can see that in a scene such as this, where we have so many lines so close together, it is very helpful to be changing my pen because it helps to give some differentiation as to the depths of plane as we look through it. Helps to give a sense that this is closer than this, and that when we look through these arches, we're actually going some long distance back. I could even have drawn this with a 0.5. Let me just grab the 0.5 and I'll just show you. I had actually planned to, but then I just couldn't be bothered to get it out. And you can see how that brings this sort of closer as well compared to what we had. And I think even with the 0.3, just making these lines a little bit darker just links them with I think that just helps to get a sense of what's happening. Well, what do you think? Let me just... Hey there, I can actually see you now. Well, I can't see you, but yeah, I can see me seeing you, I guess. Well, how did you find that? Was that helpful? Any comments that now that I can see, any comments that appear on the chat? Any comments that you want to make or any questions that you want to ask me about that process if you're one of the 37 people currently watching this live. And if you are and you haven't hit the like button, please, why don't you give that a go? That's a help for my channel. So are there any thoughts or questions? Has anyone ever taken to drawing Revival Gothic or genuine Gothic if you're in Europe interiors in life? Ever sat in the church and looked around and tried to capture all those perspective angles? Yes, thanks, Scott. I think that's true. Do I ever use the light box to draw perspective guidelines? No, I don't use the light box at all. Between measuring with my pen and just eyeballing it. Now you saw me holding my pen up on the paper and sliding it along. When you're on location, of course, you can't do that. But if you've never tried this, you hold the pen up, shut one eye, hold the pen up in front of your eye, and then just bring it straight down onto the paper. And it sounds really bodgy, but it's actually surprisingly accurate. It's a great alternative. Thanks, Sean. That's great. And look, if you're finding my channel helpful, please, can you tell your friends who draw, or maybe who should be drawing, about it? Word of mouth is a great way to grow. No, I'm doing okay, thanks, Scott. Yes. Look, the thing is, we have some other people staying in the house at the moment, and so the chair that I normally sit on, which is, one of the better chairs for desk work to sit on, has gone to a guest. And therefore, I've got one of the older chairs that doesn't navigate so well. It's heavy and clunky, and I have a large rug on wooden floorboards under where I sit. And when I move it, it doesn't slide over the edge of the rug. It catches on the edge of the rug, and then we start to have all sorts of problems. So that was my problem as I was moving my chair horizontally to get better access. As I said, I often talk about is using your hands and making the fingers into a square shape and viewing that. Look, if it works for you, it's great. I really think that there are no rules, and some ways of doing things are just going to work better for some people more so than others. Whether we just genuinely eyeball only, or whether we hold fingers up or we hold other things up such as pens to help us get a reference to alignment, to help us, it's all to do with helping us to see what we're seeing more precisely. So whatever for me is the most precise way I have of doing that is what's good for me. So, yeah, and what suits the way I want to draw and what suits the sorts of drawings I want to finish up with at the end. I don't know how many of you, my pleasure, Cindy. I don't know how many of you saw the video I posted yesterday or have seen it yet. The one that's to do with the focus that we should have. But it's I think a really important video to watch if you haven't seen it. It's to do with how the overwhelmingly, I believe, important part is what goes on in our minds before we put pen on paper. And because we rush that process and we don't do that adequately, our buildings our drawings just end up not often turning out with the same degree of accuracy and effect that we might have liked. This is St Mary's Cathedral in Sydney that's viewed from one of the side doors. So I've come in one of the side doors halfway down the building, looking down towards the end of the building, not towards the entrance. Yeah. Okay, well look, I hope you've enjoyed that. If there's no more questions, I'm having to hold this camera up in my hand now, so it's starting to wear thin. That's great. Yep, that's great. It's always good when you're out, especially now that we can take photos so easily, and to take photos intending to draw them. Because I think the photos we take that we intend to draw with are different photos to the ones that we might just take to record the scene for us. Look, I've never actually used nibs as opposed to fine liners. Next time I go to an art shop, which I don't do very often because I tend to buy a lot at one go, but next time I go to an art shop, I will look at the pens that they have with nibs because, you know, why not give it a go? It as I say, it may be more interesting, more fun. There more maybe effects that I can get from it that I don't anticipate. Have I done a video to take a photo different intent to draw it? No, it partly depends on what you like to draw and how you like to draw it. Sometimes we avoid foreground clutter more, or we avoid people in a way. Sorry, I've just lost you all. There. The messages don't pick up very easily, and it's not a good focal length for me either to read them quickly, and sometimes they disappear before I've read them all. Yes, absolutely, Scott. Dull photos can make great drawings, and vice versa. We can kill great photos with our drawings sometimes too. And the thing drawing from a photo always to remember is it's just the starting point. It's our raw material, and we can change it, we can improve it. You found my channel today. That's good. That's great. Greetings to Brazil from Australia. Yeah, that's great. There's I think getting close to 500 videos. Yeah. So I think would be good to explore with ink. And with ink, you can sort of splash around a bit too and begin to basically use it as black watercolor. And so you can quickly get some effect with ink that is a little more time consuming to get with sketch marker as well. All right, well, look, I think it's time I go and move on with my day. Thanks all for joining me. And probably for some of you, many of you, it's evening or you're, I don't know, you should be asleep. But I don't know about that. Yeah, at any rate, I'll see you next time. Hope to make this a regular thing and hope to give some warning. Oh, look, thank you. That's very kind. Build an interactive art school. That's very kind of you all. All right, cheers. I'll see you next time. What do I say? But whatever you draw and however you're drawing it, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.